Social media lit up over the weekend with images like these of people smiling from ear to ear and lining up outside Chase Bank branches. Why? Because of an apparent glitch in the ATM system that allowed them access to instant cash by way of depositing checks for thousands of dollars, then immediately withdrawing the cash that was put into their account. We can confirm that yes, this did happen at various Chase locations over the last few days. What we've also verified is that this is a serious case of check fraud. In most cases of checks being deposited at ATMs, the bank could release a portion of the amount for immediate use and hold the rest until the check clears the electronic funds transfer system, a few hours to a few days depending on a customer's history with the bank. It appears in this case that hold never happened. A Chase representative confirmed to the New York Post that these ATM visits for so-called free cash were happening and that it, quote, has been addressed, by way of the customer's accounts being frozen and the amount of those deposits being charged back to them as an ATM error, and that money is expected to be paid back. Anyone caught taking part in this money melee could also face legal repercussions, from fines to jail time, depending on how the bank wishes to proceed. With your Verify, and with no relation to the bank, I'm Chase McPherson.
With months to go before the 2024 election, many Verify readers have sent us questions about the initiative commonly referred to as Project 2025, in which conservatives plan out a swift transition from the Biden administration to the next Republican leader. Chase McPherson has the answers to some of your concerns.
If implemented, Project 2025 could have far-reaching effects that could change or reverse existing policies to a more conservative, favorable platform. Many voters like you have asked the National Verify team to look into claims made online about topics surrounding Project 2025. So here's what we're going to focus on: abortion rights and a claim about so-called period passports, overtime pay, defunding public media. But let's start by explaining more about who's behind Project 2025 in the first place. The 922-page document called The Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise, was published in 2023 by the Heritage Foundation as a roadmap for the next conservative president. While former President Trump has distanced himself from the initiative, 20 out of the mandate's 37 authors have experience working in the Trump administration. The guide calls for advancing conservative social policy and restoring some Trump-era policies. A federal ban on abortion is not directly suggested in Project 2025, but it does recommend that the Department of Health and Human Services should no longer consider abortion a form of health care and to considerably limit access to other forms of reproductive care. That policy suggestion is what led to claims from a satirical website that up-to-date, quote, period passports would need to be provided during random ID checks. We can verify that is not part of Project 2025. Project 2025 would, however, allow more employers to opt out of covering birth control through insurance plans and would limit access to Plan B medication. Moving on to your workplace. Does Project 2025 propose eliminating overtime pay? Multiple social media posts suggest that it does, but the Verify team found no such claims in the Mandate for Leadership. Project 2025's overtime pay threshold section says Congress should allow employers and workers to calculate overtime over a longer number of weeks instead of the typical 2-week period. One thing the Verify team did find accurate are claims Project 2025 would call for the defunding of PBS and National Public Radio. Mike Gonzalez, the author of the section on the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which supports PBS and NPR, argues the media outlets have a more liberal bias and that the government should not be compelling the conservative half of the country to pay for the suppression of its own views, and that pulling government support would not cause either outlet to die out. There are many more topics around Project 2025 the Verify team has answered for viewers like you, so be sure to visit FOX54.com to learn more. With your Verify, I'm Chase McPherson.
Former President Trump has repeatedly denied knowledge of the so-called Project 2025 policy plan or even who is behind it. But a new photo circulating on social media is not helping those claims. We've verified the photo appears to be genuine. This is the image in question, which shows Donald Trump aboard a private plane alongside Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts. The Heritage Foundation is the group collectively authoring the Project 2025 document. A reverse image search leads us to a Washington Post article published yesterday The newspaper says it obtained the photo from people who say they were familiar with the trip Trump made back in April 2022 to a Heritage Foundation function in Florida. We tried to obtain the footage of that keynote speech, but YouTube removed the video from the Heritage Foundation's own YouTube page. The group says the reason YouTube gave them for censoring the video was, quote, violating policies pertaining to election misinformation, end quote. Another video on a pro-Trump account on the streaming site Rumble is similarly no longer viewable, but transcripts of that speech remain published. About 46 minutes into the video, Trump is heard to say the Heritage Foundation will, quote, lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do, end quote. Our verified team debunks another social media image regarding the Donald Trump assassination attempt. We found this image claiming to be an EMS transfer form from the Pennsylvania Department of Health is not genuine. It claimed that Trump was brought into a local hospital screaming and ranting about the wound he sustained to his ear after the shooting in July, and that he was given ketamine to, quote, shut him up. There are some glaring errors that help you determine quickly it's a false document. The first red flag, the next of kin is listed as Melanie Trump. As we all know, Mrs. Trump's first name is Melania. Another clue about the bogus nature of this form, cocaine is listed as one of the patient's prescribed medications. It has since been determined that the fake document was created by a social media account that creates parody posts based on current events. Another major retailer filed for bankruptcy this past week, but yet there's some confusion as to whether or not it would affect locations in North Alabama. Conn's Home Plus filed for Chapter 11 protection on July 23rd, and media reports initially suggested between 70 and 85 stores would close, and Huntsville's store on University was not among them. The FOX54 verified team reached out to the liquidator, who confirmed for us that all Conn's owned stores in the 13 states it operates will indeed be closing by October 31st. That includes the store located on University Drive. They also told us clearance sales have begun in all stores as well as online. This closure affects all North Alabama locations of the Badcock Home Furniture and More chain, which Conn's acquired just this past December. Industry magazine Furniture Today says store fixtures and equipment will also be sold off as part of the liquidation. Conn's was delisted from the NASDAQ stock exchange earlier this month after missing payments to creditors.